On April 11th, 2008, Jessica Stacy and Patrick West got married. 3 days later, tragedy struck. When Jessica and Patrick got married, Patrick was an Army specialist who was on leave from the 101st Airborne Division out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. For her part, Jessica had a 5-month-old baby boy named Aiden Turnage. 3 days after Jessica and Patrick got married, Patrick was watching Aiden. I don't know if he was alone with Aiden or what the circumstances were, but he couldn't get Aiden to be quiet and he became frustrated. He allegedly grabbed Aiden and slammed him into a railing. Now, because this is an older case, there are not a lot of details that I could find, but I feel like I could find enough to get across the main parts of what happened. So after Patrick slammed Aiden into the railing, and I don't know how many times, but he did call 911 to report that Aiden was no longer breathing. Now, 911 personnel arrived at the home and Aiden was transported to the hospital. Aiden remained at the hospital until April 20th, 2008, when he was removed from life support. According to medical personnel, 5-month-old Aiden Turnage suffered multiple skull fractures as a result of being slammed into the railing. Now, as I said before, Jessica and Patrick had just got married. Patrick was actually on leave from the military. They weren't living in this area. They were actually visiting relatives in the McRae area of White County. According to a newspaper article that I read, it did say that Jessica wasn't present when Aiden was injured. She didn't know what happened to Aiden. And for his part, Patrick told the police several different stories. He first told police that he set the baby on top of the car and the baby must have rolled off the hood. He then told police that he must have accidentally hit the baby's head on a door jamb as they were walking through the door. Finally, he told police that he did slam the baby into railing. When Patrick West was first arrested, he was charged with battery, but when life support was removed from baby Aiden and he died, the charges were upgraded to first-degree murder. Now, it didn't take long, but Patrick West did enter a plea deal. In December 2008, Patrick West pled guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to 40 years in prison. He was facing a sentence of 10 to 40 years in prison or life for that first-degree murder charge, and he got 40 years. Now, Stacy was by his side when he was sentenced to the 40 years in prison. According to the prosecutor, Stacy didn't want Patrick to be punished so severely. Now, the newspaper article did note that Patrick West had served in Iraq, and he also had a younger brother that had died a couple of years earlier by a roadside bomb in Baghdad. Maybe this led to some PTSD, and that contributed to Patrick West not being able to handle a baby crying. I would find it difficult to defend the actions of anyone harming a baby. I do suffer from CPTSD, but also I have never been in the military, so I couldn't say how that might affect a person being in war. I think that people seem to forget that when a baby is crying, you do have the option to put the baby in the crib and walk away if you feel like you can't handle it. Smashing a baby's skull is not the option to take. It shouldn't even enter a person's mind. Shaking a baby should not enter a person's mind. Babies are precious. They don't have a way to defend themselves. They can't talk and tell you what's wrong. Crying is the method of them telling you what is wrong, that they need something. That being said, Patrick West was sentenced to the 40 years in prison. He will come up for parole in 2036.